Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of The Edge. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. Let me also greet those of you who are listening from other parts of the world, across the Caribbean region and further afield. You are listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. This program is also being carried live on ZIZ TV as well as our social media platforms. Check us out on our YouTube channel, ZIZ Broadcast, ZIZ Online, that's our YouTube channel, and via Facebook at ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation. It's a beautiful day and I look forward to having a quick conversation with you on matters of national importance. And of course, I'll open the phone lines and give you, the listeners, an opportunity to call in and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. When we open the phone lines later, you may call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Again, the numbers are 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. The government in just about 2 weeks will be holding a national consultation on citizen security, and this is being planned to address crime and violence within our communities. The consultation forms part of a 90-day comprehensive campaign dubbed 90 Days of Intensity, a Whole Society Responsibility. Now, the main objective of the campaign is to address crime and violence from a public health perspective through a collaborative, community-driven approach that involves various stakeholders, promotes prevention, and fosters resilience. One of the key activities of the 90-day campaign is a national consultation on citizen security. Its main objective is to engage national stakeholders in developing comprehensive strategies and solutions for citizen security. The national consultation will involve various subject matter experts, policy makers, and community leaders. Some of the topics to be discussed include, but is not limited to, youth violence, domestic violence, community policing, and the criminal justice system. One of the products of the national consultation will be a national action plan for citizen security. According to the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, quote, the government has already initiated a few preliminary discussions with stakeholders in its efforts to ensure that the national consultation is inclusive and data-driven. Citizen security is everybody's responsibility, but the government must take the lead in addressing threats to our national security and ensuring safe communities, end quote. The national consultation will take place on August 22nd, 2024, and other planned activities for the 90-day campaign that I mentioned earlier include town hall meetings, community outreach programs and activities, career fairs, and educational workshops. These are all of the activities that have been, well, there are others as mentioned and other topics that they will be they would like to explore. But these are some of the activities that have been planned to address crime and violence in our communities. We have been following the news over the past few days, and we've been seeing what has been happening. And thus far, this is the approach: national consultation. In other words, calling on the nation to come together and let us bring our ideas together, because there are people who would have very great and creative ideas as to how do we tackle this issue. Of course, not all of the ideas you can share publicly, because the criminals listen to the news, they listen to the radio, they pay attention to all of the different outlets where the information about national security is shared. So they are well aware and they are well tuned in. But the different ideas and activities that we have as a people ought to be pulled together, ought to come together to properly address this issue, of crime and violence. It cannot be a one-man approach or just a group of people. But as I mentioned, everybody would have their own different creative idea of how you tackle this issue. I don't believe there is a one solution or one particular answer to this. Some people would say, well, let's put more money into national security, or let the police work overtime, or let them do more community policing, or more community activities in terms of engaging with members of the community to build that trust. And when you have trust between the police and the community, then I believe that would assist in crime prevention and having proper strategies to tackle the issue of crime. But there is no one answer, there is no one solution to this matter. It is let me say, a disease that the Caribbean in particular, other parts of the world of course, but focusing on the Caribbean, it is a disease that we have been battling for quite some time, and past and present governments and groups and organizations, the church, the school, the community, have over the years been coming up with what they believe are great and creative ideas to tackle the issue of crime and violence. And people will give you their idea and they will tell you, this is my idea, and I believe that my idea will work because they believe it worked before. And so they're saying, let us use this approach to address the issue of crime and violence. I believe the national consultation is the place for that. And so don't be one of those persons who say, well, you're not going to attend or you're not going to participate, and then you come after the process has been completed to say, well, this is my recommendation or this is my solution to the issues that we are currently facing in crime and violence. If you want your voice to be heard, if you want your solutions to be considered, then participate in the national consultation. Again, that takes place on the 22nd of August, and that's just around the corner. And the other activities that is a part of the 90-day campaign, they will be having town hall meetings. So while they have the national consultation, they will be coming into or going into the communities to meet with members of the communities in the town hall meetings. They are also staying in the community and they're having community outreach programs. They're having career fairs to tap into the younger population, those young people, in the high school and the college, and educational workshops. It's 12 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. You are listening to ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Throughout the Caribbean, we boast a diverse abundance of flora and fauna that adorn our countries. This diversity follows through to our people, communities, and families.
As a doctor, I treat my patients with respect and understanding, without stigma or discrimination, no matter their sexual orientation, practice, or belief. Remember, everybody deserves a fair treatment.
As a mother and healthcare professional, I believe all Caribbean children should be safe, happy, and healthy. Let us create a safe, supportive environment for all Caribbean children to thrive.
Let us treat our LGBTQ+ family members with love and respect. Strong families create a stronger Caribbean. This message is brought to you by the Eastern Caribbean Alliance for Diversity and Equality, ECAID.
Watch the trail of the insects stop when you spread them with pop. Flying, crawling, insects are falling when you spread them with pop. Nothing comes close to pop. Pop, the number one brand, serious get pop.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius and thank you for joining me on the program for today. If you are just tuning in, I shared with the listeners that the government is in the process of, gearing up for the staging of a national consultation on citizen security. And it is being planned to address crime and violence in our communities. It is part of a 90-day campaign dubbed 90 Days of Intensity, a whole society responsibility. And essentially what this theme is saying, it is calling on all of the community, it is calling on everybody to come forward and present your ideas and your solutions as to how we address this issue of crime and violence within St. Kitts and Nevis, within our communities. As I mentioned before, there is no one answer or one solution that could address this issue, but it must be an all-of-society approach. We must all come together and pool our resources. And when I say resources, I'm not asking you for your money, but in terms of your ideas and strategies. If you're good at something, and let's say you see that there is something that is lacking in your community, perhaps you'd want to offer some training free or at a reduced cost to at-risk youth in your community, then that would be good. That would be good, and that would be you adding to your community, the development of your community. And all of this, I believe, helps in crime prevention. Because you're getting the young people in particular occupied, and so they don't have time, spare time in their hands to go and participate in any sort of criminal activity. It's 11:17, and we'll open the phone lines now, and so you can begin to call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. The phone lines are open and we are taking your calls. What is your contribution to make on the topic of the national consultation that is being held on citizen security? And as I mentioned, the focus of this consultation is to address crime and violence. So call us and lend your voice to the conversation at hand, or you feel about the consultation. What are your expectations? What would you like to see coming out of this consultation on crime and violence? I believe, and I stand to be corrected, but I believe this is one of the first consultations we've had. If we've had before, and as I mentioned, I stand to be corrected, but if we've had before, I believe it were perhaps in the form of a town hall meeting, but there have been similar efforts. Let me say that, to be safe. There have been similar efforts to engage with members of the community to tackle the issue of crime and violence. And when you have a conversation with people in the community, they would tell you about all of the different ideas, all of the different things that they believe, the police should do. Now, over the weekend for Culturama officially came to a close yesterday, Tuesday, August 6th. And by the way, Culturama was absolutely amazing. And I'm talking from my personal experience. I cannot speak for anybody else. I think it was amazing. And there's certain areas that definitely need to be worked on. And I hope that the committee is listening. And advice to the committee, when you get constructive criticism, don't take it personal and try to badmine people. And I'm going to be very blunt here, very frank. I believe Culturama was amazing from my personal experience, but there are different areas that need to be worked on. With our shows, the pageants, they were too long. Man. If you have 4 and 5 contestants, there's no reason why I'm entering the complex at 8 p.m. and I'm still in there at 3 a.m. That is hard. That don't make no sense.
One part that was good were the backup singers.
The backup singers were absolutely amazing. And I believe I know them. Yeah.
I think you do.
Yes, I know them. The backup singers were absolutely...
That's why you said personal.
Yes. The backup singers for the Calypso show were absolutely amazing. I think the Calypso show, was really, really, really good. The Soca Monarch, all of them. I didn't get to attend all of the activities, of course, but from what I saw, posted to social media and people's interaction. But the biggest complaint for people was the length of the shows. Going forward, serious attention needs to be paid to time management and the proper execution, of the shows. But I brought up Culturama. Well, it's officially over, and congratulations to the Culturama committee on putting on another successful event. But I brought up Culturama because over the weekend I saw the police force conducting some search down at the Bastia ferry terminal and then over at the peninsula. And I think they retrieved a firearm and some ammunition. I saw that in one of their recent reports. And I'm just saying to myself, why are you going to Nevis with an illegal firearm? But I want to commend the police for conducting the search there, because you see, whenever there are festivities, whether it's Culturama or Carnival, there's a lot of people traveling between both islands. And there isn't much security between both islands in terms of you can catch a boat and go to Nevis and you're not going to be searched because you're already in the country, right? But for that weekend, then you have people coming from all over. And so it is always good to do a second check. Some people criticize it, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion in terms of how things should be done. But I think it was a great initiative, and I believe that is one of the ways that the police is being proactive instead of reactive. And so let us not wait for something bad to happen. Let us, do what we ought to do. I believe it was very good. Some people would make the argument as well, why you don't go and look for the bad man there? Well, how you know that somebody's a bad man?
Well, they found a bad man. Didn't they find somebody with a gun?
They did.
Right.
But the point I'm making, how you know somebody's a bad man? Definitely. You see people walking around with name tags saying, I am a bad man? Mm-hmm. No. You could find somebody in a suit and tie with drugs and ammunition and guns in their bag, and a lady in red bottom heels. So you can't just look at people and say, well, he's a bad man, she's a bad woman, so I'm going to target that person. I think what the police did over the weekend was really good. It might have been inconvenient for some people in terms of them being able to travel freely, but we can't in one breath say crime is high and the police need to do something, but when they do something, we cuss and we make nice. That's hypocrisy. The phone lines are open and we take your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Your take on the national consultation that the government is planning on crime and violence, to address crime and violence. And perhaps you can also share some of your ideas as to how do we address this issue? How do we tackle this issue What are the different strategies and ideas that we should bring back to the table? One of the things that I absolutely love is the community engagement, because when members of the community are able to build a strong relationship or a trust, let me say a trust rather, with the police, that in and of itself is really good. When you know that you could have that trust and that level of understanding, and it goes both ways, engaging in the community and the community policing, the walkthroughs. And so instead of just having the drive-throughs where you're driving through the community, and the walkthroughs, I think, are more effective. But as I mentioned, there's no one solution. There is no one solution as to how you address this issue. And really and truly, it is never good when we hear of these very heinous acts that are being committed in our small island. It is never good to hear those things. It is never good when you have to wake up and get the bad news that you've lost a loved one from, gun violence or what have you. It is never good when you have to wake up and hear that a hard-working businessman or businesswoman who makes their contribution towards the development of the country was robbed. It is never good. It is never good when you hear that people who are law-abiding citizens are harassed or disturbed or robbed or whatever. Those things are never good. It is never good when you wake up and you hear that a little boy or girl, or anybody for that matter, it doesn't matter who, but somebody's rights have been violated because they've been raped. We don't want to wake up to these stories every day. But I like to be realistic, and we live in a very dark and cold world. And these things, unfortunately, are going to be a part of the cycle of life. But it does not mean that we should throw our hands in the air and surrender and say we're not going to do anything. We're not going to try to implement activities and programs and strategies to tackle these things that are currently plaguing us. For the past year, our parliamentarians have been saying that they're now going to look at crime as a public health issue. And I remember this was back in 2018, 2019, thereabout, when I read a news item out of Trinidad where the commissioner of police then said that they will be treating crime as a disease. They will be treating crime as a disease. And that is how they are going to, that is how they believe they're going to properly address it, by treating it as a disease. And recently, CARICOM leaders met and agreed to let's look at this thing as a public health issue. And how is it affecting us as a people? How is it affecting our growth and development? How is this costing us millions of dollars per year? How is it costing us as a community in terms of our children growing up without their mother, their father, because they've been lost to gun violence or some other form of violence? How is it costing us as a nation, holistically or generally? I believe these are questions that people have on their minds, and they perhaps are afraid to ask. They don't know who to ask. They don't know where to ask it. But they would like answers. And it is fine for you. It is okay if you have those questions, because they are all very important and prevalent, important questions. It's 11:29. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Join us on ZIZ TV for Youth Lounge with Skaniper, a talk show on vital topics such as tourism, entrepreneurship, education, religion, sex education, and mental health. Featuring experts from St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean region. Tune in live on the first and third Wednesday of every month at 8:30 p.m. on ZIZ TV.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today, Wednesday, August 7th. I almost said Monday. Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. You're listening to The Edge, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. If you're just tuning in, we're on the topic of the national consultation that is scheduled for August 22nd, 2024, and it is planned to address crime and violence. I will also like to share with you, for the benefit of the listeners, a notice here from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, from the Prime Minister's office, dated 6th of August 2024. The Prime Minister's office of St. Kitts and Nevis announces that the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew will be on scheduled personal leave from August 7th to August 21st, 2024. During the Prime Minister's absence, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Jeffrey Hanley will assume the responsibilities of acting Prime Minister. Dr. Hanley will oversee the functions of the government, ensuring continuity in leadership and the seamless operation of all state affairs. Prime Minister Drew wishes to assure the public that this period of personal leave has been planned to ensure minimal disruption to government operations. He remains fully committed to addressing the pressing issues facing our nation. The Prime Minister's office wishes to reassure the public that the government remains steadfast in its dedication to serving the nation's interests with integrity and commitment during this time. Again, that's the Prime Minister's unscheduled leave, Deputy PM Hanley, to act. That is dated August 6, 2024. You're listening to The Edge here in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. If you've perhaps just tuned in, I shared earlier some information regarding plans currently underway for the staging of a national consultation, scheduled for the 22nd of August to address crime and violence, and looking at it as a public health issue. And what the police and the government are asking for here is for your ideas and your suggestions on how we tackle this issue. How do we address it? What do we do? How do we fix the problem? And these are all the questions that our people have been asking and continue to ask. How do we address this issue? That is the question I believe everybody is asking themselves right now. How do we address this issue? Now, over the years, as I mentioned, there have been a number of ideas and plans and strategies, rolled out to tackle the issue. But I think another question that has come to the fore is, are we seeing progress? Is progress being made? I read recently where the Senator, Iselene Phillip, says that they're working to create this culture of care and compassion. And just last night I was having a conversation with the family, and we were talking about crime and violence generally, and of course we narrowed it down to St. Kitts and Nevis. And one of the points that was made in the conversation was conflict resolution. Today, you can't even mash somebody. You can't mash somebody because they want to kill you afterwards. And I find that our people are angry, and nobody today wants to think about, how do I resolve this without inciting violence? How do we say, okay, let's just work out our differences without bringing violence into the equation? Why is it that every time there is a difference of opinion, or we've had our differences, or we fall out, or whatever, the first thing that comes to your mind is to get violent? Why? Why can't you say, "Boy, let me sit down and have a drink and talk about this issue. Let's see how we could work out this issue"? So conflict resolution is a big thing that is a thing that is missing. Perhaps it is a part of our culture that we have not been trained, or we've not been taught to talk our issues out and say what our issues are. Two things that we do. We bottle them up and we keep them inside. And we have all of that on our minds, and then we wonder why people end up mentally unstable. That's one. And two, we resort to violence. We don't say, let's try conflict resolution. Let's see how we can work out this issue. And so I believe those are two of the areas that need to be looked at. Because our people today are very angry. Very, very angry. And their first response is to get violent. I am calling on our people. I'm using this platform to call on our people to come together. Let us put all hands on deck to address this issue. I'm also calling on the criminals and those engaged in illegal activity to stop. St. Kitts and Nevis cannot take anymore. We want peace. We want progress. There cannot be peace. There cannot be progress with crime and violence plaguing our nation and taking away our people. Young men, young boys, young women. We can do better. We have a call on the line.
Hello?
Caller, you have to turn off the radio. I'm getting too much feedback.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes. Now I'm calling to make 2 points which I believe you will be interested in hearing.
Okay.
1, when we speak of policing with you, this is very important, not for policing with you. Now, when I was a child going to school, I observed that in my village, there was what was called local constables. Mm-hmm. And they were going to the length and breadth of the community, correcting wrong things being done in the community. Now, sometimes they would be very, very outright with their probe, and then they would decide to take anybody who is misbehaving badly to the Old Road police station. So they will bring them to the side of the road. They can't run away. And they will stop a bus that is going towards Old Road, and both the improper person behavior who commit those kind of problems for the local constables. And the local constables would go down to Old Road, where they would go straight to the police station and lodge their complaint. And so that used to be very helpful in the community when you have the local constables addressing certain situations. And of course, you find that some of these outlaws, they would not risk having the police constables of the village to be interfering with them. Hence, they would keep quiet. So, this thing about policing with you is not what we are experiencing in those days. What we are having is policing for you. And they say, if you see something, say something. But that is out of the question in solving the problem that we are having. We need policing with you. And the police must be in the communities to correct certain problems. I mean, I can quote some of the things that I knew or I had experienced when I was a youth, what the local constables did. But I would not keep up your time anymore. I would just close it off here and suggest that we have to do a little better, because policing with you and policing for you are not one and the same. With is with. And if you're going to say, if you see something, say something, that is policing for you. But it cannot directly impact the community, because the police is not in the community to correct many things. Thank you.
Thank you, caller, for your contribution to the program. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio. We have a call on the line. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Devon.
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I just come down from the animals then. No, Devon. No, I listen to Mr. Wells carefully. Just truly. No, back in our time, it was different. And Mr. Wells said, that it was different. Time a change. People get more different now. Social media and technology mash up the young people in mind. And the police can't do no. I do not think the police could do more what they could do. Up to this man, I call him from the traffic talk, and I was commending the traffic department, because they do a good job, because all the midnight I see them up and down on the road. But people say that I tell them the police can meet we and everywhere. You know, long time that them community used to work with the police, but things that change. Police used to in the community like a family. Police used to come around and question you. Police used to see children on the road, at school time. Some of them got in uniform, some without uniform. And the police, them hold them and carry them home to the parents and ask them why they need school. That used to go on, ain't going on anymore. Things have changed. Because parents get very reluctant with the children. Parents like they're studying the children them like before. Back in our time, it was different. But the world, you know that? You understand?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, yeah.
So the police can't do more what they could do. I mean, community could work. You got conscious-minded people in the community. We'll see where they see and say something. But sometimes you can't give them the chance of going on. Because human beings get so, radical now and so ignorant. If they just say something, you see something and you say something. Up to the other day, I tell a gentleman, right? Because a lady said, I can't come in here and scratch chicken. I got animal too. I tell the lady plain. I do not know who animal it is. I see it around here a long time, and I don't know who animal it is. It ain't mine though. Because if it was mine, I'll take the responsibility. I meet the owner of the animal, you know what I tell the owner? I tell him about it, you know what I tell me? But let me tell you something, but you better keep your mouth shut, you know. You better keep my mouth shut. So these are things now, Brother Devon, we got to be careful. It's we who got it so. It's we who got it so. And it's some of the parents and the young people, just look how they be. You understand? The police them can't do more what they could do. I'm happy that they got some police in the force. They're real to the work. They're only in there for the money. And we got to admit that.
All right, caller. Let's hit this other call. Hello, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I'd like to make a contribution.
Sure.
To the program. Sometimes I listen to people making their little input about the crime thing, but they're asking who in authority how much more. Then I ask the people who are committing the crime how much more. You know? Everybody got to, come and do something, say something. Nobody, going out and trying to make no input, like to say, like, talk to this, talk and that. Because sometimes you people say, oh, we know who they be. You know what they be what? People who they tarnished before about this crime thing, or where they had the peace, and the people done out of that, there's a new way of coming on. You ain't even know some of these people. Till when they might happen to apprehend when I told them, you say, oh, and check the age range now, and the people who committing crime. Just check the age range. Even people who get in murder, check the age range, just see what it's like. People in the 20s and the 20s, 25, 26 up there, them, yeah. Up to the people them before, ain't a part of that thing no more. People them make this about the next wave we got coming on. Our people ain't watching, oh, we know who they be. But they still can't assist to say, well, is this or that, you know? That's how I make a contribution.
All right, brother. Thank you for your contribution to the program. It's 11:46, and you're listening to The Edge in ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. Do we have any more callers on the line? The numbers remain open. The phone lines remain open. Call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. One of the callers made the point about policing with you instead of policing for you. When she said it first, I thought she was referring to the program. But after she started to explain, I understood exactly what she meant. Policing for you. And she spoke about when there were local constables who basically traversed the community to ensure that there was law and order. And made basically, I think it's safe to say that, suggesting that is something that should be reintroduced into the crime prevention or crime fighting strategy. You know, perhaps, and okay, let me say this. One would say this is 2024, and we need to throw away the old and do with the new completely. But sometimes it's good to go back to basics. You know, try something that you did a long time ago and see if it works today. You know, do your research and compile your data and all of that and see if it is something that, you know, would work in this day and age. But I love the contribution that has been made thus far. Absolutely, I love that initiative, the policing with you. But they can only be policing with you if people have the trust and the confidence. And if there is no trust and confidence, they can't be policing with you. I'm going to have to bring this program to a close early for today to make way for